Okay, we are live.
Hey, are you looking for a great book that you just want to turn the page after page after page, and you love murder, you love mystery? Well, we have Brad Schiff with us today, and he just came out with the Cold Case Files. It is amazing. It's such a great book. Brad, thanks for coming today. Tell us your background. I mean, you have such an interesting background, and then how you turned it into a book.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm a retired detective, and this is a group of cases that that I've worked over the years and the years. It really was never an idea for a book. Back in 2003, 2004, when we solved one of those cases, we were approached by A&E Cold Case Files. They wanted to do a segment on it. Unfortunately, since we were all still active investigators at the time, they didn't let us do it. But, I had the idea that maybe someday we would be able to put this on paper and let folks read it and understand what happened in that cold case. And as it was, we ended up with a lot more because there were more cases after that all tied together. All 20 years worth of cold cases from beginning to end, and they all tie together.
Tell people what a cold case file is, because a lot of people don't understand what that is.
It's kind of one of those acronyms that folks use when we're investigating a case. We work it actively as hard as we can to get as many pieces of evidence and clues to try and figure out what happened and solve the case. But sometimes there's just not enough information. We just don't know who to ask. At the moment, those things show up later. So during that time where there's nothing going on, a case is cold. One of the main cases in the book was cold for 3 years. We had no idea who the actual killer was. There are some things that happen in the book that, no spoilers.
Yeah. Really, it's unsolved cases, right? A cold case is something that's not solved.
Yeah, correct.
It's like
we just don't know. We don't know. It stays unsolved until we get that piece of information. I worked a case with some folks there in Louisiana. There was a case that was 30 years that it was cold. I'm going to talk about it in a different book, but we finally caught the person 30 years later.
Wow.
Well, we're really excited because today is your book release day. The Kindle book is for sale, and your background is amazing. The stories are amazing. Tell us a little bit about the book so people can get an idea of what the book actually entails.
Well, the book walks the readers through 20 years worth of investigations. The very first case in the book is tied to the very last case in the book. And it takes 20 years for all of that information to unfold. And we just walk them through what it's like from the investigator's perspective. So that, I wrote the book at a time where police officers weren't liked a whole lot. I wanted to give them a better understanding of what we go through.
Out of all the stories that you have in the book, what do you think is one of the biggest like cliffhanger, most compelling, where people are going to be scratching their heads and like doing a Google search afterwards?
Wow.
I know it's a tough question.
You're going to make me pick one. There's a lot of them in there.
Okay, your top three then, so you're not.
So the book revolves around one family. So if they do some Googling, they're going to learn things that happened in there. I don't use the real names in the book. I didn't want any of these criminals to get any real justification or satisfaction from the fact that this was put out there. But there's definitely some haunting stories in there.
Wow. So what was the reason like now was the time for you to do this and to launch this book? And we're so happy you worked with us and the book is on its way to becoming a #1 bestseller. What inspired you to do this at this point? Because so many authors and writers, they sit on things for a long time. How did you know it was the right time?
Well, I shopped around for a long time trying to find a writer, someone to actually help me write it. Ended up writing it myself. Um, and in 2019, I sold a business that I had,
Mhm.
found I had some free time on my hands and started working on it. And then when COVID came in, I had all sorts of time to work on it. And it just all came together. Was able to spend a lot of time just working through the stories and
Mhm.
deciding which stories to put in this book.
Did you have like a routine to write? Did you have a discipline that you did, like something you did every day, or how did you go about writing the book, like your process?
Not really. I just had to sit down in front of the computer, and once I got started, it kind of worked out really well.
Yeah.
There were some days I sat there and wrote the same story 3 times, and it just didn't sound right. You know, there was no rhyme or reason with it. It was just more of trying to figure out how to piece the stories together so
Hmm.
that it flowed well for the book and people didn't get lost in the story.
Oh, you're muted, Jen.
I
Just
was going to
miming.
say, I was miming. I love that it's a true crime story and that you really didn't have to do any research or anything to find out the stories because you lived it, right? You and other detectives, these are the stories.
Correct. These are our stories. There was no researching the particulars of the
Mhm.
evidence. These all came from my memories and the actual events that occurred.
I love that. And also in the book, you have pictures, which I think are really important because the evidence, having the picture there so you can see really what the evidence was and really helps to see that it is a true crime story.
We did include some of the photos in there, especially some of the officers that we lost along the way.
Mm.
So we wanted to include some things in there to help people visualize what it was that we were seeing and what we were going through.
Yeah. What do you think makes a case go cold?
Really, it's just because we don't know which direction to go in the beginning. Um, there was evidence that was present at the time that could have helped us solve one of the main cases in this book. Just it was overlooked.
Hmm.
Mm.
Sometimes you just don't see it or don't have all of the facts together, right?
They just missed it.
Hmm.
That's got to be frustrating for the families involved doing that. Do you have any stories about how that interfaces with having a cold case file?
Well, as most cases go, they look to the family as suspects.
Mm.
Hmm.
And the longer a case goes cold, the more those family members become suspect.
Wow.
So it was really devastating on a couple of these cases where the family was looked at. And it wasn't until we actually got evidence to the contrary where they were exonerated and people said, okay, now we believe you.
Hmm. Well, that's definitely where you turn to because you don't know the facts, so you just rumors and speculation.
Oh, there was lots of that.
And usually it's somebody from what I understand, the higher percentage that it's somebody that they knew. Um,
Well,
isn't
I'm
that
not going to
correct?
give any spoilers away. So I'll tell you, there's lots of stories in the book. Some of them are yes, some of them are no.
Ah. Yeah, and I will tell anyone when you get this book, you're going to have such a visual. It's almost like watching a movie by reading the book, because it's just so compelling that way. And you're really going to get involved and feel like you're a part of the story when you're reading this and being a part of it. I really super highly recommend it. I mean, who do you think your ideal reader is for this book?
When I wrote it, myself and the other main detective that was involved, we really just wanted to get the story out there. We
Mhm.
really didn't have an audience in mind. The folks from A&E and the cold case files kind of put the bug in our ear, but we didn't have an audience in mind. Now there's an entire following for true crime.
Yeah.
It seems to be that everybody wants to hear what actually happened in some of these crimes and not how it's sensationalized.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing now to go and listen to true crime podcasts and hear stories. And a lot of the times, I really love that your book, Gotcha Cold Case, is told by you, because a lot of times those podcasts are just told by a couple of girls who are reading it off the computer, right? They
Mhm.
found the story and then they researched it and then they're doing a podcast about it. But they weren't there. They don't know. So I love that this book, Gotcha Cold Case, and this is the first in a series, right? Tell us a little bit about
Correct.
the other
There's going to
books.
be three. Uh, there was just too many stories. We would have had something that was 2-3 inches thick on the desk. So this one spans 20 years worth of cold cases and how they're all tied together. The second one is focusing on a single case. And there's enough there. It was a very unique case to where we just made that one book with all the stories revolving around it. The third one is going to be cases after I retired. I continued to work cold cases after retirement. And then we've got several cases that we were involved with that we're going to feature in the third book.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the publishing part of it. I know we had a few viewers on here, and viewers are popping in and out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and Brad
Mhm.
can answer your questions. But Brad, tell us a little bit about the publishing process. Hold up your book so everyone can see the cover. There, I put the link in the comments if you want to go and grab the book. It's on sale today for 99 cents. The Kindle is normally $8, and then the paperback will be coming out as well next week. So go and grab that book. It's on sale today. So tell us, Brad, a little bit about the publishing process and how you came to, because this has been a big process for you. You've been writing the book now for 3 years.
And the book didn't take that long. The publishing process, being a complete novice to this book writing idea, I didn't know where to start. So I started by just writing a book, looking for a ghostwriter, and found some folks that come to find out that English was probably their third language, helping me write the book. Their heart was in the right place, but it wasn't my voice.
Mhm.
It didn't sound like me. We were losing things in interpretation. It was just a very difficult process to work through,
Mhm.
and ultimately, it just as bad as it might have been, I ended up doing it myself. I hope it reads well, because those are my words and not some third party trying to figure out my story. I went back and forth on whether to make it first person or third person. I found it really hard to write in first person. It came across very conceited to me. So we ultimately went with third person. And when we got down to the final phases, be weary out there. There are people that will take your money trying to say that they're going to promote your book and ultimately just want your money. And in the end, you may end up having to self-publish or be as lucky as I am and find a couple of rock stars in these ladies that get it out there for me in a very professional manner.
Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, because we have had other people come to us that have had bad experiences, and you don't know who to go through for. So part of it is looking at the reviews and doing some due diligence. And here you're a former police officer and ran into somebody that you that wasn't really legitimate, sadly.
Yeah, I want to see the best in folks, and sometimes they hide it, very well.
Yeah. But the happy ending is you found us, and your book is on the road to success. To remind you again to get it, Jen or Brad, hold up the cover again
Yep.
so they can see the cover, and the link is in there. Gotcha Cold Case. And today only the ebook is 99 cents. So grab that ebook. It's only 99 cents for today. It's such a great read. You're going to love it. And this is a real true stories, true crime. So if you love true crime, this is where you want to be. And you're thinking about writing a book, you can use ghostwriters, you can use book coaches, you can write it yourself. And it's really important that it is your own voice. When people work with us, our ghostwriters and our book coach really want to make sure that it is your voice. It sounds like you, it's your story. But then it also has that interest, right? So it's not just blah that you're reading. Like Brad said, he wanted to make sure that it was really interesting, and you want to be compelled to turn the page. So if you need help with that, we do have book coaches and editors and ghostwriters to help you with that. But you want to make sure you get the best of the best when you're doing it, because your work is important. Like Brad's book is going to live forever. Books outlive you. When we're all gone, his book is still going to be up there for sale. People are still going to be buying it and living the experiences and reading his words on a page. So you want to work with the best of the best and make sure what you put out is wonderful. And even your book cover, remember, we thought you had a pretty good cover.
Oh, I got it here.
We tweaked it, right? We made a brand new.
We have it.
So here's the original cover.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you folks were able to do for us. I mean, it just jumps off of the page there.
Mm-hmm. It just looks really professional. Like I tell people, you can go with less money, or again, this is something, it's an investment in you, an investment in your brand. So either you can have the Mercedes-Benz or the Rolls Royce, or you're going to go with the used Hyundai, right? So which do you want?
Yeah.
I think my Hyundai had about 200,000 miles on it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, Brad, tell the listeners anything else that you want them to know about the book, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, in an effort to further personalize this, I did create a link. So there are folks after today, if they want the printed copy, have the ability to go to my website and actually request a signed copy. You could tell me what you want the endorsement to read as, if you're going to give it away as a gift. But I wanted to kind of personalize it for folks if they wanted that.
Perfect. I'll put that link also up. Let's see if I can show it here. So yeah, bradschlerf.com, and you can get a signed copy.
Beautiful. And thanks for calling us rock stars. We're so happy to work with you, and we're glad that you've had a great experience.
Well, I appreciate everything that you guys have done. You've made it very easy to work my way through these final stages.
Fantastic. All right, everyone, grab that book. Get it today while it's still 99 cents.
Grab the link in the comments, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.